Hi everyone. Larry and I were sitting here the other day and we were talking about likes and dislikes. It really started with the rear hatch, and somebody asked us a question online about the wobbly table, and it started us on a long discussion about everything we love and don't love about our new rig. This is our second Airstream. We got a 30-foot rear bed, queen bed international, and now we have a 27-foot front bed, twin bed international with a rear hatch. And I've been asked many times, what do you like or don't like about it? And keep in mind, we had two fifth wheels prior to these Airstreams, and we had a little bumper pull before that. So we've had the gamut of RV models out there, and we've seen kind of all the goods and bads about all of them. If you're interested in what we like and dislike, please join us. And know that I'm going to compare most of this to our last Airstream and what we like and dislike about this compared to the last one, and all the upgrades that we've done. If you know about our maintenance videos, so I did a complete lithium battery upgrade with a 3,000 watt inverter so you can run the air conditioners on battery alone. And I put additional solar on and all the other little accessories and things like that that we use inside our rig. So if you're interested in all that, join us. I'm going to start at the very front of the rig. I'm going to work to the roadside, then I'll work to the curb side, then we'll work to the back. Right up here, I turned my front jack sideways. It's a pretty simple process. There's a couple bolts around here that you can loosen up, Allen key, and you can turn the head. You have to take the propane tank off to do so. Why did I do this? In our old rig, we had a equalizer hitch which extended the front part right here enough where I could lower my tailgate as long as this was turned. On this rig, I did not get the equalizer hitch, and I don't have any type of sway control or weight distribution hitch on this model. We really didn't even need it on the last one, but somebody gave it to me for very cheap, so I used it, and it was fine. And I do notice that driving down the highway, when an 18-wheeler or a big vehicle is at the back end of my trailer, I can feel it push the trailer just a hair, but it's not enough to make me uncomfortable. So I don't have a weight distribution hitch on this one because it's an F350 and it can handle that load very good. And we still have the torque lift central slider things. I'm blanking at the moment what they're called, but they slide into your leaf springs. I have those on the truck as well, so it balances everything out, and I really don't need any kind of weight distribution hitch, and I haven't felt uncomfortable with it. But I still turned it sideways, and I haven't turned it back because I can still lower the tailgate lower than I could with it up, because it would hit up here and now it hits down here, so I can get in and out of the tailgate once we're hooked up better. On the propane tank, I have the tank lock that I did a video not long ago about putting a tank lock on here. And on the bottom of the propane tanks, I have the rubber gaskets that keeps it from rusting really and bouncing around and metal on metal. So those have been really nice. I haven't even refilled the propane tank in the 10 months we've owned this thing, so it's still on the very first propane tank. During the summer months when you're not using your propane furnace, this thing uses very little propane. Just your cooktop and your water heater. That's it. So very little propane is used. But I did put a film of clear plastic up here to keep from this scratching on and off. If you can see these scratches right here, I'm not sure. I had something sitting on the truck bed. I think it was Piper's dog bed you can see over there on the porch, but it fell off and it scratched up my front tanks here. So the clear film protected the front of the tank from taking it on and off, but I wasn't expecting to run anything over here to the side. I do have the stretchy band brake disconnect that I really like it. I still have my Proven Industries front hitch lock. I don't use it all the time unless it's in storage, but I still have that. And our Ox Blocks Max. It's a big square when it goes underneath your front jack here. It gives me about a 4-inch lift. So running the jack up and down, I don't have to push it up and down as far when we are leveling the trailer. All right, moving down into the front storage compartment, I have my battery box here, which is nothing but a storage compartment anymore now that I have removed all the batteries and put them inside here. So inside here you can see the 3,000 watt Victron Multi-Plus 2 inverter. You can see my big 270 amp hour game changer Battleborn lithium battery here. And back there on the wall is the distribution panel here. So that's been really nice. On the inside of this door, I also put that clear film to keep from scratching as I put things in and out of here. So that's been really nice as well. But I've been very happy with this, and I have not felt that I've lost any storage by not using this as a storage panel. One other quick note about the front window. I like the front window. We like to open it as much as possible. If I don't open this up all the way, meaning I leave it at an angle like this, like 45-degree angle, and I try to open the window hits these little pieces right here. You tighten these down to hold it open. So your adjustment knob, your tension knob, I call it. But there's one on each arm, and if the window is not centered, now this thing can slide back and forth sideways like this on the track up here, and that's okay. It's not wrong, it's part of what it is. But just know that sometimes the window can hit this if it's not opened up all the way. I didn't have that issue on the last one, and I've seen it on probably half the Airstreams that I've touched or played with in my life. They're all hand built, so sometimes they're slightly off, or wherever they put this. If this track is slightly pushed this way, where they put these two screws in, or pushed out a little more, just one little, it's only an 1/8 of an inch or maybe a 1/16 of an inch. It's a problem. So not a huge deal, but it is a factor. Your two locking nuts here that open up these windows and open up that side window, those are fine, and I've never really had an issue with those. One thing that people talk about often is that the rubber gasket up there, these things are not hermetically sealed. It's just to keep most of the big debris out while you're driving down the highway, but it does not keep all of the debris out. And it does not keep water from running down. It doesn't keep pine needles from coming down or leaves from getting in there. So you do need to open these things up and clean inside the window and the rubber gaskets often. And while I'm on rubber gaskets, 303, 303, the protectant, please use that often on all of your rubber seals. These rubber seals, your rubber handle here for your propane tank, these rubber handles here, your door gaskets, all of your window seals and all that kind of stuff. Please keep those protected. It was a bit of a mess at the moment, but I was washing the other day, and the RV park offered this new spot to us, so we changed spots, and I just kind of shoved everything in there. But in this side of the rig is my cleaning supply closet, really. So I have extra water filters in here, camp chairs if we need them, for guests that come over, or if we're just doing something simple. I need to put them back in the camping bin, but I put them over here just for the time being. Things that I use often are in here: silicone spray, lithium grease, cleaning supplies, rags, and things like that to clean the rig off when I need to. But all that stuff is in this closet, and I've been very, very happy with it. And this is underneath my side of the bed, and I use this I mostly use this side just for storage stuff and cleaning the rig stuff. But I also have the Level Mate Pro switches in here, so when we back into a spot or pull into a spot, I can hop out of the driver's seat, and I have the distance to walk right here, and I have that Level Mate Pro in here, and it stays up against the wall. I put it on with Velcro command strips, so Velcro on the wall and Velcro on the device. So in the event that I do have to remove it to change the battery out, which I've done one time, I can put it back on there in the same spot. Just a slight variance in that thing. You still have to re-level it most likely, but I can get it very, very close every time just using those Velcro command strips, which has been very nice. And I didn't talk about this on the front lock, but these shiny door locks are from Air Gear. You can find them in our notes below, along with all the other stuff we have. There's a link to it in the show notes down below. They're wonderful. I have 6 of them. They're all keyed the exact same. I have 2 in this lock, 2 on this door, 2 on the front door, and 2 on the other side door. And they look really cool. And I wish Airstream would put these on automatic. Bedside window, great. Have no issues with it. We like the awning over here. We keep it out most of the time. I don't worry about this awning so much in the wind as I do the big awning. I have had the wind blow this awning one time. It got super gusty, and I don't know if it was a downforce, but it basically pushed this thing down like that. It came undone, and it blew back up against the side. But that was in our 30-foot rig, and it had 2. So it had the big long shade and the little shade. And that big long shade on the 30-footer, we were on the coast and had some kind of big gust of wind came in, and it pushed it on me. But that's the only time I've ever had that issue with the wind on this one or the rear awning, and it's not been on this rig. All right, moving down a little bit on this side of the rig. The smart plug, which is different than the last year model I had. I love the smart plug. I think this thing is fantastic. The cord winds up much easier than the old plug does. It hooks up super fast. I like the indicator on here that tells me if the power coming out of the box is good or not. Down here I have some chocks. They are fantastic. They just push out against both bottom sides of the rig. It does not rock at all with these chocks in here, and I'm very, very happy with the way these things work. I have two sets, one for either side, but I typically only use just one side, and it's really handy. The other set of chocks are in my storage compartment over there, but they pop in and out really easy, and when I'm ready to go, I just pull this thing up, they pop it out. I don't have to worry about it. I'm very, very happy with those set of chocks. Water fill station shower, outside shower. I've never used the outside shower on here. The handle's disconnected. I don't think it's necessary on most rigs anymore. Power cable and satellite TV. I've tested it, but I don't think we've ever used it. Freshwater hookup. I don't use the freshwater hookup in most situations. We refill our tank using our freshwater tank refill, and we use the water pump to pump it out, because you need the PSI to keep your water heater running when it's on, and most parks have low water pressure. To include this, like the water pressure here is about 40 PSI, so it's not enough to turn on the water heater. So we just refill our tank and use that, just using our pump over and over and over again. And typically when you're using a water filtration system, it slows the water pressure coming in enough that your water heater will not kick on with such a low water pressure. You can see my Camco shiny hose support. I got the really long version of that. There's a shorter version of that. Now, why do I mention that? The long version that I have, if you can see, it goes way under the rig to get it flat enough on this low Airstream. Some parks I've needed it to be that long, but very few that I have. So if you're going to order that thing, I recommend you get the shorter version of it. And if any of it needs to be on the ground, that's probably fine. I love this hose. I love the way that thing looks, but it's also broken. I went to stretch it out one day, and I pushed in the middle instead of grabbing both ends. And it's so long, I can't stretch it out with both arms. And one of the tabs broke in the middle, so where the rivet holds it together, it broke that little aluminum tab. So now I'm waiting to hear back from Camco. I have not heard back from them. I've contacted them twice, the warranty department. I have not heard anything back from Camco, so I'm going to reach out to them again and give them a call in a couple of days if I still haven't heard anything back. The sewer hose storage tank over there is fine. The dump station is fine. I don't have any issues with that. The light up there for the dump station is something other than testing it, I've never used it. And because most parks have a light, and if you need to see, I got a headlight or something like that. What I want to talk about over here still is your tire pressure monitoring system. It's a TPMS. It's from Tire Minder. I really like this Tire Minder system. I have 6 sensors. I've made a couple videos on this, but one for each of the 4 tires, one for my spare tire on the rig, and one for the spare tire on my truck. So I have an idea of what all 4 tires on the trailer and both of my spares are sitting at any given time. I just saw a couple posts online about lift kits, and do I think it's so would someone recommend doing a lift kit? If you don't know, the new Tradewind comes with a 3-inch lift kit on it. Our last trailer, the 30-footer, we had a lift kit put on it. I actually helped put it on. And the only reason I did it at the time was because I was having both the axles replaced. You can go back and watch that whole video on why we replaced the axles, but it was some weird tire wear. Still don't know what happened or why it caused it, but Dexter Axle replaced both axles for free. And living in Utah, and I had it done at Airstream Utah, and I was an employee of Airstream Utah, so I helped them put them on and put the lift kits on. I think prior to the lift kits, we may have drug our bumper twice with a 30-footer. And then after the lift kits, I'll never drug it again. And out west, we're coming out of off the road into a driveway and things like that. We're very steep. Typically, I thought it was maybe necessary on a 28-er, 30-footer rig, but for this model, I decided not to put a lift kit on, and I've not been disappointed in it whatsoever. I'll tell you the disadvantages, from my point of view, for having a lift kit was, in Brad's opinion, the front jack was engineered to be, where your hitch height's like, 19 inches, whatever it is. That front jack was engineered to be, on average, about that. and you raise it up by 3 inches, you're increasing that average. Therefore, the front end, where your jack was, would sway a little more, and your stabilizer jacks had to go down 3 more inches, so that was typically a little bit of more sway. I've seen someone calculated that you get a 9% decrease in fuel mileage by having the trailer up that much higher. I don't know. I didn't notice that difference of a fuel mileage. I didn't notice any difference in pulling the trailer down the highway. The only time we really noticed it when it was a lift kit, when it was lifted, was the little shimmy on the inside. And I feel that in this trailer too. And it's with every trailer if you don't jack the things down super hard. But I'm not going to do a lift kit on here. I don't plan on doing a lift kit on this rig. If anything, when these tires wear out, I may purchase a set of bigger rims and get a 1-inch lift on it just by getting a bigger rim, bigger tire. But I don't plan on doing a lift kit on this model. That's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. I know that Airstream is putting out a rig right now with a lift kit from the factory. And it's the same Dexter axle lift kit that gives you a 3-inch. And basically all you're doing is you take the axles off and you put a spacer in where they go back on against the frame. It's been done on hundreds and thousands of trailers out there, so I don't know of any issues outside of just a little sway. And it's not annoying, it's just something you notice. So hope that helps for anyone trying to do a lift kit or thinking about doing a lift kit. If you have questions, always feel free to ask. Our gas furnace back here, I've had no issues with this one, but I did on the last rig a couple times. Just a note, if you ever have issues with your gas furnace, meaning the fan kicks on, but it never ignites and then the fan cuts off, and that happens a couple times in a row, come outside, undo these 4 or 6 screws, depending on the size you have, that separates from the rubber gasket. This piece of aluminum, shiny piece right here, don't peel it off because it's just glued to a plastic panel. So back here where the rubber gasket is, from there it pulls off. You do not need to pull these 4 screws out. That will come off with your rig. It's just a hole that goes in the pipe. And there will be a reset switch in here. You just hit it, reset it, and let it go back. And you should hear the furnace cycle again. And if that doesn't work, you may have to, there's a grounding wire that can be an issue and a couple other things, but the reset switch is not easy to get to. You have to take these 4 screws off and pull the whole panel off. And if you've never looked in there, I encourage you to look in there and see what it looks like. All right, back here at the rear hatch. Just full stop conversation. The rear hatch is the reason that we decided to change rigs. Getting the rear hatch was something I looked at initially as a gimmicky thing, so I don't remember exactly what year Airstream came out with it. Honestly, I can't remember when they did that, but I thought the rear hatch was just something else that would leak and be problematic. When we lived in Utah, we met, I think they only made 100 of those Pendleton models, and I met 4 of them living in Utah. And I asked all 4 of those folks, now that your rig is 4 to 6 years old at this point, have you had any issues with the rear hatch being problematic or leaking? And only one person had one of the shocks that they had to replace, but other than that, they've had no issues. And I got to looking at it more. Blair and I looked at it more. Every camp spot, to include the one we're in this moment, is a great space for using the rear hatch. Somewhere where someone was too close on that side, or I had, backed into a spot and had a nice camping area back here, we decided that we would have used the rear hatch. So every camping spot we went to, we asked ourselves, would we use the rear hatch now or not? And most of the time the answer was yes, so we decided to change to the rear hatch. So this is the main impetus for change for selling our 30-foot, purchasing this 27-foot rear hatch. The awning back here is the same as every other awning, rear awning on the rigs. No problems. Over time, you will notice these rubber tips will deteriorate and it'll just be metal on metal, which is okay. But on our Amazon page, I have rubber tips on there that you can replace these with. They're really cheap. You can get a pack of 50 of them for just a couple bucks. And you pass them out to all your friends. So you cannot raise the rear hatch with the awning out, so please don't make that mistake. I love the look of the rear, the Airstream. And while I got this on my mind, the look of the rear, my shirt on the back has these tail lights and this international symbol. If you're watching YouTube right now, right down below the screen there, you can see shop, spreadshirt shop, and you can buy any shirt with this on the front. These Airstream windows here, and you can put your own tail lights on for your personalized for the type of rig you have. I have made a shirt for everyone. All you got to do is customize it to fit what you need. So make sure that if you like the shirt, you can get them in any color, and you can put it on any shirt or sweatshirt or whatnot, and you can customize the rear of it to have these taillights. And you can even put these taillights on the front if you like. All right, there's a lock here. It's not super easy to find that key. So we rarely use the lock to unlock and lock it. We just hang that key right by the front door, and we open and close the hatch with the handle on the inside. So it is locked right now, but I have unlocked it from the inside, so I can't open the hatch. Having the hatch open is really cool. You can go in and out of here. You can see this gray rubber mat on top of the bumper storage compartment. If we pop these up and open this up, you see that it has an extra reinforcement in there, so you can step on it compared to the non-rear hatch variants. This bumper, I need to do it again, but you can see the corners have come up, unglued a little bit on both sides. That's not uncommon. So I just need to get some contact cement and re-glue it down. But that's pretty common back here. The rear bumper storage is the same. The screen can be problematic. I'm going to face this way and show you easier, but pillows get in the way. But right there, that seat cushion pushes out and gets in the way. It can be somewhat of a pain. Not always a pain, but sometimes. The screen itself is just an open screen on both sides, and it rides inside the track. So if you ever have something push through here or push on here, it will come out of the track. Don't be alarmed. It's okay. Just go back up and down with it again, and it'll seat itself back in the track, unless it's just completely wiped out. But I've had no bugs come through here. I've had no issues come through here. I like the rear screen. I like the rear hatch. I like having it open. It's a really cool thing. Sometimes when we use it, we remove the table and just lay the table up on the bed up in the front, one of the beds in the front, and have an open space here. If there's no bugs, we'll leave it open completely. But sometimes bugs and flies and things like that fly in, so we leave it up. We got a little flamingo lights that go all the way around the door now. It's very easy to if you open it and close it from the inside, to forget to lock the thing. So we always make sure you put the handle down and lock it. One item of note when you have your rear hatch open, as a sunblock, put the screen down if you're trying to block the sun, because when the sun's up above, it still does beam in here pretty warm. So I like to have the sun visor or the shade down when we have the hatch open. Not a necessity. Close your shade and make sure your window is closed before you open the hatch. Window is closed and locked before you open the hatch. Around the door, on the door itself, is a rubber seal. I talked about lubricating your rubber seals before, so make sure that you keep that rubber seal lubricated. But also, on the frame itself, there's a rubber seal at the very top here, in addition to the door. Make sure you keep that rubber seal lubricated as well. If you have big pillows like these, make sure you push them out of the way before you have the screen up and down. And if you're sitting on the inside with these big pillows against that and it pushes against the screen, it will push the screen out. So just be mindful of whatever type of pillow you use when you sit here in these two spots. And I'll go over more of that when we get on the inside. But back here, it's just an open space. I like this space. There is an outlet right here that you can use for doing stuff out here at the back. I have some Velcro command strips here for an additional plug that we sometimes use back here for USBs and things like that. And your heater outlet is here. And over here it's just nothing space. But your bass speaker is back here to keeping this area clean from here and here is something you gotta find something to reach in there to clean. I'll talk more about this wobbly table as we move inside. All right, what does Brad have in the rear bumper? I have a set of cones, pop-up cones. I don't know that I've ever even used them for anything, but I should have. It seems like every time we go to a parking lot, a large parking lot, and we pull into parking spots, so all the parking spots are this way and we pull along them, someone will inevitably pull right behind me or right in front of me, so I have to parallel park this thing to get in or out of it. But I should use these cones for that situation. That's kind of what I have. But otherwise, I've never used them. They just kind of hang out here. I have my awning rod and my stabilizer jack handle. Wait, I use a drill for this instead of using this handle. And I don't have them installed at the moment because we are on level ground, but these are, they were called Anderson, S-E-N, Anderson blocks, Anderson leveling blocks. This is an off-brand. Beach Lane, I believe, is the name of these. I've had both Anderson and these, and I like them both the same because they both do the same thing. These are really easy to level with. I do have those stackable Lego blocks, I call them, but these are super easy to level with. And sitting in the truck by myself trying to level the rig, using my Level Make Pro, pulling forward until it's level enough. Now, just mindful, you can only go that tall. So 2.5 inches up on one side or 2 inches up on one side before it gets kind of dangerous to go beyond that because they will tip over. I've never done that, but I have seen people do it. Those are also on the Amazon page if you're interested in those. I love them. I'm a really big fan. All right, let's move to the curb side. All right, welcome to the curb side of the rig, or the porch side as I like to refer to it as, because this is our porch. We come out the door, we hang out here. We sit in our chairs. We have the zip-D chairs that match our awning, and we have the little zip-D table that sits in between. Starting up at the front, this window over here, I don't really understand why Airstream does this 2 windows. I don't know why they don't make both side windows the same, but they don't. Not a big deal, but they don't. Up here in the front storage compartment, really not much in there that we ever really use, so we don't open it very often. But if you go back to our maintenance videos, you will know that I put an outlet in that box. So what used to be an outlet for the inverter, the old inverter, I repurposed that outlet and put it inside this box here so you can open it up, plug something in, close it if you need to. If you happen to be out in inclement weather and don't want to use the outside outlet, you can use the one inside that box. And I haven't, other than testing it out, I've never ever used it, but it is there in case we ever want to use it. Down below on all 4 stabilizing jacks, we have snap pads. I've been very, very happy with SnapPad. I love the brand, I love the company, and I love all the folks that I've interacted with there at SnapPad. Also have one on the front nose jack, and also have some SnapPad squares for putting the tires on. So if I'm parked on concrete somewhere and it's all level, I'll put one under each all 4 tires, so it's just rubber on rubber, and I don't have to worry about my tires getting something on it. If we're parked somewhere in the grass for a long time or on gravel for a long time, I will roll up on those. I'm in this spot. We just moved in this spot a couple days ago, and we're rolling out in a few days, so I'm not going to put them under here right now. But from a leveling perspective, if I ever need to go up 1/2 inch on one side, I will put one SnapPad block, or what I call the Lego blocks, your standard yellow or red, whatever blocks, stackable blocks. I put one of those under one tire, and that gives me a 1/2 inch lift on that side of the rig. If I need a 1 inch lift on one side of the rig, I put one under each tire, so the SnapPad blocks or the Lego blocks. If I have to go higher than that, I use my Crescent Moon, Anderson, or Beach Lane blocks back there. And that's a quick class on my leveling, how I level with the trailer and using my level system. I do have another chalk that I could put over here, but one side's plenty. Our range hood vent up here is fine. Just make sure that when you keep it stored, that you lock and unlock it. There's a lock tab on both sides. Some people drive down the highway with them closed. We use ours so often I don't really ever close it. The only thing I would be worried about is in storage would be birds or wasps building a nest in there. So that's really the main reason for locking it. The on-demand water heater, gas on-demand water heater. The new Airstream Tradewind from the videos that I've seen has a recirculating system in here that this one does not have, and I wish Airstream would put that in all trailers. Not that I feel like we waste a whole bunch of water, but we do waste some water when we are trying to get the water heater, the water to be warm from the water heater. So it pumps water through it regardless. So particularly boondocking, water has to get heated up in here before it's hot at the spigot. Not so much a problem with the sink, but in the shower sometimes problematic, and it's right here by the bathroom, so it's very close to the bathroom. But the shower is the farthest thing away that it has to pump it up to, so it's a factor. I wish they would fix that. Otherwise, we like the on-demand water heater. It gets hot fast enough. I say 10 to 12 seconds typically is what it takes for the time you turn it on to the time hot water's coming out of the spigot. Changes or upgrades we've done to the rig on this side, not that much. I put this clear plexiglass on the door here for our stickers, because on our last trailer we lost all of our stickers when we sold it, because we had to take them off. I put the no lock solution tab on here from the no lock solution guy, and it's been really wonderful. The handle on here for closing the door, I've been very, very happy with this handle, this pull handle, instead of pulling on the door handle itself. Now, I did put the door handle brace on there from the no lock solution as well, but this little handle, and I bought this handle from Lowe's. It's just a drawer handle that I bought from Lowe's. Drilled 2 holes in here, and that's what I use to close the drawer with. Very sturdy. You see the 2 windows, that's where it comes from. Lubricating and that kind of thing on this side of the rig. Silicone spray. So these 2 gas struts up here and your 2 extending arms that come out of your awning, that should always be lubricated with silicone spray. If you have a automatic awning like this one, on the back of these big arms, there's a little bitty hole right here in the middle. That's where you put lithium grease spray. So every month I spray all the tubes with silicone spray, and I put lithium grease spray right in this tube, and I run the awning out a few times. I also lubricate my door seal all the way around with the 303, and I lubricate the lock mechanism. I stick the straw inside the lock itself and spray my step, all the moving parts on the step, and your door catch here, a little hinge on my arm here, the hinge on all the outside doors, etc. I spray those all with silicone spray, open them and close them a few times, and keep those things lubricated. So I've never had an issue with anything sticky, and that's the reason. A couple things I didn't talk about in the outside video before that I remembered while I was doing an edit are the upper solar panel. So I put a 4th panel on here, so now I have 400 watts of solar on the roof. It's a Merlin panel. Been very happy with that. I did have a little bit of a leak, but that's my own fault from the caulking that I put on, but I recaulked it, no big deal. Having the 4th solar panel has given us a little bit more duration ability out off the grid, and power coming back into that battery should we have the inverter on and doing things like running the air conditioner, running the convection oven, microwave, or something along those lines. And I still have the portable solar panel that we use as well. It's getting the time of year right now. It's cool enough to start boondocking again instead of staying plugged into power, because we don't need to run the air conditioner all day long. We can only run it for an hour or so during the day, or if at all, or just have the windows open and vents open. So we're getting ready to do some more boondocking compared to what we've done in the past. Speaking of air conditioning, I did put a SoftStart on one of the ACs. I didn't do both. I just did the main one here in the main cabin, because it's the one that's going to get, it's the bigger of the 2 ACs, and it's going to get more air flowing all across the rig compared to the one up front. So we did put it on. It's useful. It's very useful when you're trying to do it via inverter and battery alone. I have ran both air conditioners on the inverter, and it takes a lot of power to do that, but I start one up at a time. I don't like doing that, but it is something we have done, run both air conditioners on the battery alone. Just a kind of a misnomer is air conditioners have their own built-in SoftStart, but the SoftStart device starts it up at a different interval than the one that comes on the rig or the one that's built into the system itself. So I don't know that they're completely necessary, but they do come in handy. I've been asked quite a bit about Airstream Connect, putting the antenna on the roof and that kind of thing. I don't use Airstream Connect. From my experience is limited to being out west. I don't know about being on the East Coast and using the service over here, but from everybody who I talked to, if they had cell phone service in the rig on their device, they had cell phone service via Airstream Connect, depending on the SIM card that they were using. And if they didn't have cell service in their rig, then they didn't have cell service on Airstream Connect. It didn't help pick up service any better. We've been very happy with our T-Mobile device, our internet, home internet that we've used. Verizon does have a feature of that nature, but from what I understand, Verizon is geofenced. So when you type in the service address, if you go outside of a little circle around that address, it shuts off the Verizon home internet. It's mainly for that specific tower that's closest to that address. T-Mobile, you have to type in an address, but I've not been geofenced, and I've traveled all across the country with this thing, and it's worked everywhere pretty well. So we've been very happy. On that note, Starlink. I love Starlink. I think it's a wonderful option. We don't have it because I've been mostly happy with my T-Mobile home internet and tethering to our Verizon phones and iPads, because all four devices, we both have iPads and phones, and they both have some whatever tethering amount of gigabytes of data that we can tether to should we need that if T-Mobile happens to not be working in that area. But on the Starlink, it is something that's fantastic. I've talked about this in a number of videos from people we've chatted with. I love it. I think it's a wonderful system. But for me, it's something else I have to carry around. I have to find a storage spot for that big antenna, and the modem, and doing all the hookups for that is kind of a pain. And specifically on the East Coast, you always have to find a clear spot to the sky to view. So that's not always an option in some of these parks we've been in. Similar to solar panels. I don't always get sun on the roof of my solar panels. That's why I have the portable panel. I found these wheel balancers and put them on my wheels. On the back side of the wheels, it's a steel buckshot basically rolling around. I've been very, 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 very happy with that. It seems to make the rig ride very smooth. I have noticed a lack of things shifting around when we drive in this trailer since I put those on. I didn't have much driving experience without it before I put them on, but I've been very happy with the balancing of the wheels using those wheel balancers. So that's something I highly recommend. Everybody who I know who has that on has noticed a difference in their trailer being balanced. I had a good discussion with a guy yesterday who's popped a lot of rivets on the inside, and we talked about tire pressures and a whole bunch of other things that I'm not going to get into at the moment, but I have not popped a rivet on the inside of this trailer using those wheel balancers, and before we did, I had a rivet or two pop. And on the old trailer, I didn't have those wheel balancers, and I popped rivets on occasion driving around on pretty rough roads. So anyway, tire balancers have been a wonderful addition to me. They're cheap enough and very easy to install, so it may be something you want to try for your rig. We do love the twin bed. Bins in mine with shirts. All right, welcome to the bathroom. In the hallway area, we have our dual closet here. All right, carrying on with our kitchen. This giant body pillow here fits nicely right in this little slot. This is one I broke here, and this goes in our secret storage compartment below Blair's bed down there. I had this cushion removed before, and I'm going to remove it again real quickly to show you something in here that I like and dislike. This opening here is the intake for your gas furnace, which is on the other side of this panel. But the storage for the seat cover is not a problem. It's just a nuisance somewhat. If you ever get water underneath the mat here and it's laying by your front door. Good morning.
Hear that cat fight?
Say again?
Cat fight.
I heard something. Piper.
Oh, sorry. You're doing your video stuff.
Yes, ma'am. I heard something over there. I didn't know what it was. Come on, Pipe. This way. There's wife.
Leaving.
Where you headed? What you gonna go do downtown? I love you. But knock the cameras over. The rear hatch lock. So there's a key lock right here. Have her. Come here. Over here. Come here.